Hello guys, what's up? How's it going? This is Paul from Flutter Fairy, and today is going to be an interesting episode for you guys, and it's all about the continuation of our food delivery app. So I'm currently on our project now, and I've run our food delivery app. You're actually seeing ice cream here, and today is going to be all about fetching our products, that's the foods, to the client app, and as well adding those foods to a user cart, and as well doing some actions like favoriting a food, like add it to a user's favorite list. And I think that should be all for this episode. So that's what we are going to cover. So currently we are using Firebase for our data storage. So I'm going to show you around Firebase. So I'm going to take you to our food collection, and this is how the Firebase Firestore actually looks like. It stores data in collection, and you can see each data as a document. So currently we have about 4 users here, and you can see our user here. This is the current user we are at, and you can see the foods here. We have 2 food entry here, and this is what is actually displaying here. You can see things like description, image URL, active, is live, price, title, and everything. So I'm going to tell you the reason behind all of this, why we are actually storing this data this way. So let's talk about that. So I'll start from the top here. We have category. So different foods, maybe we want to sort our food, or we want to we want to sort our food, maybe category, so we can use that way. Most food might be in different category, and some might be in different category, like maybe desserts and some other kinds of food. And the created at here is the time it was created, and we are using milliseconds epoch for this. And we each food needs to have something like a description to actually describe what kind of food it is. So that's why we are storing this description in the field description here. And we also have ID. The ID is exactly what is here, so we can differentiate this particular food with other foods. And here you can see the image URL. This image URL is actually what is showing, what is displaying the kind of food that you're actually purchasing. And the next one here is the ingredients, and the ingredient is going to be a list of string, and this is inspired from our design. I'm going to show that to you. Our design actually have where users can actually click and add more ingredients to their food and stuff like that. So it's going to come with ingredient, and currently here our ingredient is empty and is live. Just imagine we have an admin panel, and we want to post in a food, and we want to upload a food, and we upload the food will just immediately go live to the users. But we don't want that. We want it when we set its live to true, that's when the food go live to the client users. And if the food goes, maybe its live goes false, we doesn't show that to the user. And the next is the price of the food, the title of the food. That's where we have the fried rice and chicken, and they updated at the time any of these fields were updated. And that's how we have it. The same thing here, and I'm going to show you around the app how we are actually doing all of this. And in the users collection, I'm going to show you one more thing here. Like in this user, we are going to add one more field there called favorites, and this is going to be a list of string. We can add different food IDs here to store that user's favorites food. So I'm going to save this, and we are going to do one more thing here. We are going to have a sub collection for cats, and here we are going to store the cat items. So maybe in our app, user clicks on this button and probably go to the cat screen. It's going to see all his food that he has added on his card, so he can actually click on the checkout button and actually process for that particular food. So we are going to also create an ID here, and what field we are going to have here is like, we are going to have the food ID, we are going to have the quantity, you can spell that quantity. We are going, and this is going to be a number, and you can set this to 0 1, and no, it's going to start from 0 from 1. and we are going to have a field like created at, and time it was actually created is going to be a number, and the next is going to be updated at, and we can just show that here. Updated at is going to be a number as well, and we can have category, the category of what food this is actually, and it's going to be in a string. And I'm going to just click on save, and you can see this subcategory of cats, and this is going to be a lot of documents when the user actually clicks on a lot of food to actually wants to maybe check out or do anything. So that's what it basically does. The cats collection, this cat sub collection, that's what it basically does. And let's go in the app and see how things are actually laid out. So I have made some few models here that we are going to use to get our foods, like as a blueprint to get our food. That's what class does. So we have our food class here, and this is going to model our food. You can see we have everything here, everything that is here, it's in here, like the ID, title, image, URL, description. And we are going to use the from map function to get this food as a map. So when we get this as a map, we are going to use the key and get all the values of that and store it on these properties, and we can use the food object. And we are doing same for the cat item. We have the food ID, category, quantity, created that and updated that, all set. And we are still having the from map that actually look at this, because this is all value key value pair. It check the key and get the value. So that's what it's going to do. And the next thing here we are going to do, we have also added, is favorite on the user model. We have added this favorite to store all the favorite food of that user. And the next thing I've also added here is the food repository. The food repository contains all the food API. So that's what it does. And you can see here we have just two methods here, like get food, listen to food. So I'm going to explain one after the other. So from the top here, we did all the imports, like importing Cloud Firestore. You need Firestore. You need to have the Firestore plugin on your project. On our previous project episode, we have talked about all of this, so you can just check them out. A link in the description. So here we have initialize and have a new instance of Firebase Firestore. Though this can be used anywhere and it still have the single instance. And we have our foods notifier. This is going to be like a storage bucket for our foods, and this is going to be in a list of food, and it's going to stay in a value notifier, so we can actually use it on our UI. And here we also have a stream subscription. So the stream subscription here is going to get, because what we are actually doing here, we are trying not to, every time there is a change in our database, we need to maybe scroll down or need to restart our app for us to see maybe a change or anything. But currently now, with just a single change, everything should reflect. Let's say I want to change some things on the ice cream. I can just say ice cream and sweets. Let's put that, and you can see it reflect here, ice cream and sweets. So that's the work of why we are actually having this subscription. We are going to pass the listener here to the subscription, so we can actually cancel and remove it whenever we want to remove it in our app. Okay, so let's start from here. We have a try and cache, and this is get food. What it does, it gets foods, and we are using the either package, and if this throws any error, we return the error handler, else return a list of food. And this is what we are doing. Yeah, this is what we are doing. We are going to return a list of food here, and this is going to be empty initially. I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to update and tell you why this is like this. And here we are doing some querying here, and we are calling this query snapshot. And what we are doing, we go into our food collection, and we go and check where. So we are checking if the is life is true, we should get all those documents. So if this is false, let's say we set this to false and update it, and try to rerun this again, we shouldn't get the ice cream. You see, we can't get the ice cream. So that's what the where is life equal to true does. So I'm going to set this back because I really like ice cream, and I'm going to set that back to true. And what else we are doing, we are using the snapshot, and this returns a snapshot of a stream of query snapshots. And we then cancel the subscription if we have any subscription in the streams, and we start listening to that. And there we have the listen to foods. I'm going to expand this, and what we are basically doing here, we are looping through our snapshots, our documents, so all the documents here. So in the future, if we might have foods up to 200, 400, 1000, we should bring in the pagination. So I'm going to introduce that in the future. I just want to keep this real simple. So here we are going to loop through all the documents and get the food. Each of this item, each of these entries, we are going to get it, and we are going to store it on our food object using the from map function. And from the document here, we use the .data. This gives us the data here, and we are going to do something here. We are going to use the index where on our list of foods, and we are going to check if this food we want to add actually exists. If it exists, we are going to update it, we remove it and actually add a new one, and else we just add it. So as you can, if you notice, when I did that update on the food, what we did was to remove it and add a new one, then notify listeners, and you see it display on the screen. So I'm going to come back to how this was actually fetched on the UI. Before we go, we need to look at another thing here. We need to look at the cat repository. So what the cat repository is going to be doing for us is going to serve in the purpose of storing users items. So if maybe I want to eat the fried rice and chicken, and I click on the add button here, I'm going to add it to my cart, and it's going to be stored on a sub collection of that user like this, all as a document, and it's going to store in this data type key and value. And here you can see that we have our Firestore users, and you can see we have cat notifier as a list here, and also we have the cat snapshots, cat snapshot subscription. So this is private for the cat repository, and here you can see we have the get cat item. So if we want to get a single item from our cat, we can just use this function. What this function is going to do for you, I'm going to show you now. It's going to check on our local cat notifier, which actually holds our cat item. It's going to check there using the first where if this exists, it returns that, else it's going to run this block of code getting it from the database. We are going to use the get request, and we check if it exists, we print it, else we else we say this fails to get the cat item. And what else we're going to do here, we're going to return it. So we return the cat item. So the next one we have here is get cat. So what the get cat does, it gets the entire cat. If there's 50 items here or 10 items in this document, and it's going to get everything. And when it gets it, it doesn't just get it once, it listens to it. So that's why we have the snapshot here. We go from we go Firestore. This is the Firestore, and we go Firestore instance collection users, and we go down to the doc ID, which is the user ID. what you're seeing here. We pass in that which is the current user, and we go to collection carts and the snapshots and listen to that. And you can see on the listen to carts, I'll just go to that. I'll just go back. I'll go to listen to carts and just expand this. We are basically doing what I showed you on when we're fetching for foods. So we are updating when there is any change there, and that's what we are doing. You can check this out. And the next thing I'm going to show you, we actually, before we did this call to listen to all the documents on the cart collection of a current user using our app, we actually clear the carts first. And before clearing this cart, we need to remove cart listeners, remove the carts, clear the cart items using the clear and notify listeners. And the next thing here is how we are actually canceling this. So I should just do this, do one more thing here. We need to cancel and set to null. That was what we need to do. And next here is add or remove food from cart, and we have different parameters here, like the UID of the current user, the food which we are adding or removing, and the is adding. The is adding here is if we set it to true, we are actually telling the user to actually, when the user clicks on this, is adding to his document here. And else, if we set it to false, is actually removing. Maybe there is already a document here, like the quantity is 10, and we actually maybe decrease those counts. And this is what we are doing. We are having our date time here because we are going to use it in a lot of places. So we actually check if the food exists in cart. So that's what we are going to do. We check here in our cart notifier, our local storage, yeah. And if it does not exist, we basically get the old old item using the first way and get a new item. So we get the old, get a new from the old, like we update using the copy width, we update the old item with the new quantity and the updated art. And what we did was to use that new item and push it. That's, we update it. Else, if this is less than, if this is adding is false and the item counts, quantity count is less than 1, we should just remove it from our cart. And we can go to this remove from cart. We'll visit that later. But else, if this does not exist in cart, we just create a new cart item from the food ID, quantity set to 1, date time, updated time, and the category of the food, and we set that to our cart collection here as a new document. And the remove food from cart, what we do here is we still get the user ID and the food, and we just use food ID and delete. And else, if it's actually in our local storage, we remove it. That's what we are doing. Click item from cart, and here what we are actually doing is looping through our cart item and clearing them using the Firebase bash. So we have a delete cart item bash, and we are looping through the cart item in the cart notifier, and we get the cart item and passing their food ID and deleting them when everything is being set, when all of this just run. And we call the cart notifier, and we shouldn't call this because this is going to work fine. And the listen to cart, what it does is just listen to this collection, listen to all the documents in this collection, and if there is any change, it remove it, add a new one. If there is the quantity is less than 1, it remove it entirely from the UI. And if there is any document change, like any delete, if we actually delete this, it's get the quantity, the cart item, and remove that from the UI. and after everything we sort this, comparing the time it was created and notifying listeners. So that's what we are doing for the cat repository. And here we, in the user repository, we added one function here. We call it add food to favorite. We are passing the UID, the food, and the is adding. So if the is adding is true, we are currently adding to the UI. We are adding to our favorite list, sorry. And if it is false, we are removing from our favorite list, and we are passing the is adding. And I think that's all we have done so far. So I've shown you the cat item, shown you the food, shown you the new item in the user model, and now I'm going to show you how we are going to integrate, how we actually fetch all of this. So I'm going to take you to our screens and take you to our overview screen. So when this app actually runs, it's called our overview screen first, and this is actually a perfect place for us to do any get request or anything using the overview state. And we have it on the states here. We call it overview state, and using the locates. And mind you, if we go to these locates here, you can see that I've added the food repository here, and I also add the cat repository as well to make sure everything is working very fine. Add it here, and I'm going to rerun this. And we have the food repository, and we also have the get food. So when the overview is called, we get food from Firebase. And as you can see, we can see the two foods here, and the UI, which is the overview, and we're displaying this on the home page. When we go to the home page, you can see that in our expanded widget, we are using value listenable builder, and this is taking a list of foods, and we are going deep down to our food notifier on our food repository, and we are listening to any changes that is being made on that notifier. And we are building it using the page view. That's why we can slide, we can snap and slide horizontally like this. And we currently just pass in our food through the index here. And if we go to the food card, you can see all of this, and you can see all of this. So let's see how we are going to call, if a user actually clicks on this button, it should add it to a user collection or something like that. So let's try that and see how it goes. So what we are going to do currently now is to find a way to get the callback for the add button here. So currently we have the add button, which is okay. We have for favorites, and we have the add button here. So what we do, we are going to take this up. I'm going to do what should we do here? Okay, I think there is a way for us to do things. So we are going to get state from overview state. We are not going to listen to it. We are going to just read from it, and call this overview state. And in our overview state, we need to create something new there to create. And here I'm going to do state.add to cart, and I'm going to create that method there. And we are going to do same for the favorite, add to favorite. And here in the favorite and add to cart, we can actually use the food repository here, and do add to cart. Okay, so add to cart, we need to call the cart repository. So I'll call it here cart repo, and in our cart repo here, we can do the add to cart So we need to pass the current user, and we just need the user repository right here, so you can get the ID, the UID of that user. And the next thing here, get the user repository, and we'll go down here and pass it in here. Firebase user ID, current user ID. And sorry, I'm going to pass in food here, import food, and that should be it. And this is going to be void for now, both of it. And we're going to go back to our home because things has actually changed, and we still have and pass in the food. So I'll just rerun this. We need to start listening to our cart before we start adding to our cart. So I'll just do us a favor here. I'll just delete this and go to our overview here, overview state, sorry, and from our cart repo I can just do get cart, and I'm going to pass in the user repository here, the user UID, current user UID, and I'm going to rerun this. I'm going to check my terminal if there was any error. Okay, all working good, and you can see everything is empty. Add this to cart, and 1, add this to cart, this should be 2, add this to cart, this should be 3, and so on and so forth. So let's tie this also to our favorite. So in our favorite we should do something about this, and this should come from the food repository. Okay, should come from the user, sorry. Add it on the user, we say add to favorite, we pass in the current user, passing the current user here, and we also pass in the food. And we go back to home. I think we have an error there. We need to pass it, need to pass the food from the food card. Just do that now, and we just need to go back to the user and watch this. So we're going to remove this empty string, going to be just empty list, and I'm going to click on this. You can see it gets added, and you can see everything get added. And yeah, we just need to maybe show kind of a pop-up here that you've added this to screen to your favorite, and also we make this red like an indicator that you have added this to your favorite already. And I think that's all we are going to do. Now on our next lesson, we are going to make this look really nice by showing our cards to the user, and as well showing the foods that are currently on the favorite list, and as well show the food description. So when you click on the food, you should be taken to a new screen where you get everything about that food. And also in this next lesson, I'm going to introduce our admin panel, where we are going to be posting our foods and controlling the food delivery client app. We're going to manage the client app from there. So stay tuned. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, I'd like you to subscribe and do some maybe comment, say something about the video if you're actually learning from it or not. So yeah, I looking forward for your comments, and actually whatever you need, just check it on the description, and whatever you're wherever you are not familiar with, just ask question. People will be there to answer, and as well me. And we also have a community that you can join on Discord. We are calling it the Flutter Fairies. I will share a link that you can join. And yeah, take care and goodbye.